Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again. I hope you all comfy in this winter morning. What we're talking about this morning is what does it mean to be licensed? So early on in my life, I discovered that I had to be licensed or have a license for something. My first license that I had to require when I wanted to purchase a transistor radio was a radio license. It cost me 50 cents at the post office, and then only I could go to the shop and purchase the radio. And then later on in life, as I started a career, I decided to become an air traffic controller. And once again, I had to be trained. And eventually, as in plumbing, I had to get basically like a trade test. Also was qualified as an air traffic controller, but I could not work yet. I had to be licensed. So I had to be set out in the airfield and work there. And then I was licensed. And then once again, as in plumbing, when you move to a certain area, you have certain bylaws. So you have to be licensed in that area, or you have to know the bylaws. And once again, if you're placed out as an air traffic controller to a different airfield, you have to be relicensed again. And the prerequisite to work as an air traffic controller, you need a radio license to talk on air. Why? Because you are a professional and you are working with people's lives, and not much different from being a plumber. So without further ado, let's see what is the definition of a license. According to the Webster Dictionary, licensed, having a valid license required to engage in a particular business, occupational activity. So we are going to concentrate this morning on occupation. So being licensed for the occupation, the definition of that means having a valid license to engage in a particular occupation, such as plumber. The word plumber dates back from the Roman Empire, where the guys worked with lead on the roofs and in the conduits of the roof, and all pipes were lead, and they made even their baths out of lead. And the Latin word is plumbum. That is what it was called in those days, and thus a person with expertise in working lead was first known as a plumbarius, which was later shortened to plumber. So plumbarius would be the Latin for plumber, and just shows you that we're one of the older professions in life. The importance of plumbers. So obviously the Romans has discovered years ago that it's very important to have the water coming in, aqueducts, clean water, and getting sewers underneath Rome to get the sewage out. So at one point in history, plumbers were considered as important as doctors. Waterborne diseases are extremely serious, and it's critical to have clean water and proper plumbing. We've taken that for granted in this country, but if you have someone who's not trained, improper plumbing could create a very serious health problem. Worldwide, somebody dies every 3 minutes of a waterborne disease. So that's quite serious, guys. So what does the plumber do? He protects the health of the nation. If you look at that, I think that picture most probably dates out of the 40s. Which is the industrial era. You can see that proud man standing up there with these tools of the trade, and the nation looking up towards him. And that is what we are. We are a proud profession and a professional. The plumber in South Africa is licensed to engage in the act of plumbing as contemplated in A18 of the National Building Regulation. So we have a building regulation which licenses or controls us. And that building regulation stands 10.400 says, no person shall perform the trade of plumbing as contemplated in government notice unless he is a trained plumber or works under the adequate control of a trained plumber or approved competent person. So what is it meaning to be licensed? And who do we license? We license the individual. You don't license the company, so my company can't be licensed, but within my company I can have licensed plumbers. So the individual is the guy that is being licensed. What requirements have to be met to be registered as a licensed plumber? Must have completed and passed a relevant plumber trade test as specified in the Manpower Training Act, and they have obtained a plumber qualification in terms of the Skills Development Act. So just as in air traffic control, once again, I was trained and I was qualified, but I still didn't have a license. And the same with the plumber. He has done a trade test, but he is still not licensed. So you have a plumbing trade test certificate. Where do you register to become licensed? PRB, Plumbing Industry Registration Board. You all know it, and the designation licensed plumber requirements are: you've got to pass the PRB's practical and written board assessment, and you have to re-register every 12 months. Why? Because things change, and you have to be kept up to date with what the changes are in the industry. And you have to obtain 25 continuous professional development points over your respective 12-month registration cycle. So how do you obtain these professional development points? By attending a webinar, as listening to this morning, where you are mentoring a student in your plumbing company. You attend an IOPSA meeting or a meeting of plumbers where they are discussing technical matters, writing a technical article for publication, maybe in the Plumbing Africa, reading the Plumbing Africa magazine, or attending a course such as a solar or heat pump course. And then obviously when you issue a certificate of compliance, you are also earning continuous professional development points. Why? Because you might be audited, and in that audit process, you can also receive training of a certain nature, or being corrected when you are not aware of a standard. Maybe a standard has changed. So now you have registered with the Plumbing Industrial Registration Board. What is compulsory for all plumbers registered with the Plumbing Industrial Registration Board? All qualified and licensed plumbers must have in their possession, first of all, the current SANS codes of practice, building regulations, local water bylaws, documentation of the area of work. So if you don't have that with you, how do you know what to do? How does it work? How are you going to perform your work? And the local water bylaws is very important, because in your specific area, there might be something specific about what they do and how they do it. So that is easy to get. The local bylaws you can download from the computer for each and every municipality. It will be free. The current SANS codes you'll be getting from the SABS. You can purchase it online and download it for your own purpose. So the PLB Plumbers Code of Conduct, it says PLB registered plumbers agree to conduct themselves and their businesses in a professional manner. Why in a professional manner? Because the Plumbing Industrial Registration Board registers you as a professional, because they are a professional body registered with the South African Qualifications Authority. And all these agreements between the South African Qualifications Authority and the PLB has structured in such a way that all these things have to be done, and you have to follow this code of conduct to be registered and stay licensed. You have to conduct your business in a professional manner, which shall be seen by those they serve as being honorable, transparent, and fair. So a licensed plumbing contractor agrees to proactively perform work and act to promote plumbing practices that protect the health and safety of the community and the integrity of the water supply and wastewater systems. Once again, you're a health professional. You are protecting the health of and the safety of the community out there. Upliftment and training. You agree to promote, protect, and encourage the upliftment, advancements of the skills development and training in terms of the National Skills Act. So you might have a youngster that comes in there, you are giving him training, you're uplifting him, and you are training him to become a plumber and putting him through all the steps of becoming a trained tradesman for themselves and individuals in the plumbing sector or wishing to join the plumbing sector. So obviously you have to always upskill yourself, you uplift yourself and the individuals working in your company, because you also want to portray a professional image out there when you're working. You want to get that feedback from the client saying that, thanks for that wonderful job, that professional job. Your guys were marvelous. They did a good job. You want to hear that. PLB registered plumbers agree to monitor and enforce compliance with technical standards of plumbing work that comply with all requirements of the relevant SANS codes of practice and regulations set out in the National Standards of the Water Services Act, amended 8th June 2001, as well as relevant local municipal bylaws. So it's not just the SANS standards, it's also you fall under the National Standards of the Water Services Act. Which are the relevant SANS codes? Obviously, starting with SANS 10400, the National Building Regulation, and under that one hat, you have SANS 10252 Part 1 and Part 2, water installations in buildings, Part 1, and drainage, Part 2. It's very easy. If you come to think of health and safety, what does the health and safety of a nation require? It requires clean drinking water, so obviously water installation, and then it needs the effluent to be taken away in a sewer, so that's drainage. So that's 10252, easy to remember. 1, water in, 2, water out. SANS 10254, we're all aware of that one. It's obviously water heaters. 10106 is solars, and 1352 is heat pumps. And if you're looking at the standards which have been amended, and which is stating 10254, 10106, and 1352 has already got it in the standard. It says clearly certificate of compliance from the professional body, being the PRB, if you look in the definitions, will be issued on completion of this installation. So it is being placed in the standards there, and it is law. So PRB registered plumbers agree to actively promote and support a consistent, effective regulatory plumbing environment throughout South Africa. How do you do that? How do you promote and support this? By attending things like World Plumbing Day on the 11th of March every year. The Institute of Plumbing has been doing that. Their members have been getting together, doing charity work, uplifting the standards in plumbing work in their rural areas. Even cleaning rivers and parks and beaches from plastics. So there's so many things you can do to promote and support a consistent and effective regulatory plumbing environment throughout South Africa. PRB registered plumbers agree to regularly consult and liaise with the plumbing industry in an open forum free of any political or commercial agenda for the discussion of matters affecting the plumbing industry and the role of plumbing for the well-being of the community and the integrity of the water supply and wastewater systems. And as you can see at the top, I've got the Plumbing Industry Registration Board on the one side and the Institute of Plumbing on the other side. These are the two bodies that are actively involved with the industry full-time, with the insurance industry, with the manufacturers, looking at everything that pertains to plumbing. And whatever the members that are registered with them bring up to them, they take forward to the industry to tell them what is happening, what are the problems they're having down at ground level to enforce the regulations and rules. So these are the two bodies that are fighting out there for you. PRB registered plumbers agree to promote, monitor, and maintain expertise and competencies among our registered and non-registered plumbing professionals out there. You must once again promote, monitor, and maintain this expertise. PRB registered licensed plumbers agree to issue a COC, a plumbing certificate of compliance on all plumbing works undertaken as a PRB licensed plumber. Shall further issue the COC in terms of the prescribed requirements for issuing a PRB COC. So let's have a look at that. What is a plumbing certificate of compliance? The Plumbing Industry Registration Board COC is a system and a process whereby a licensed plumbing practitioner will self-certify their plumbing work by issuing a plumbing certificate of compliance to the relevant owner, the municipality, local authority, and/or insurance company. Through the process, the licensed plumber shall take ownership of their plumbing work and be held accountable for the said work. So that is very important to look at. You are being held accountable for the work you've done. So this is not something you can sign off for anybody else. This is your work. You self-certified. You're the professional. You're not signing it off on behalf of somebody else. You're the professional out there doing this work. Plumbing certificates of compliance are issued by licensed plumbers to certify that their plumbing work complies with all regulatory installations and requirements. A plumbing certificate of compliance will be issued for most plumbing work, including where the total value of work, including materials, labor, and VAT, is more than 1,500 Rand. Material costs must be included, regardless of whether the materials were supplied by another person. The installation, relocation, or replacement of any electric water heating system, regardless of the cost. That is SANS 10254. It specifically states in the standard, for every separate installation on site, the construction, installation, or alteration of any above or below ground sanitary drain, regardless of the cost. The installation, relocation, or replacement of any hot water, solar water heating system. This installation, relocation, or replacement of any heat pump water heating system. This is when you sign up with the PRB and you are being licensed. These are all the prerequisites. A licensed plumber. A plumbing certificate of compliance shall be issued to the relevant owner within 5 working days of completing the said work. So within 5 days, you have to issue the certificate, not a month later or 6 months later when you see, well, you've now run out of your COCs, which you can purchase up to 20, and now you start logging the first ones, because it's going to create a problem, because now you are going to be audited on work which has been done 6 months or a year later. Only a licensed plumber may purchase and issue a compliance certificate. So you can only purchase this with your license. So that is allocated to your license on the computer system. If you go and log in, you'll see which COCs you've purchased, which you haven't used yet, and which have been logged. And then obviously it's been done through an audit process. Audits are conducted by qualified, experienced, trained plumbers authorized by the Plumbing Industry Registration Board to perform the function. So if you issued your COC, as you guys all know, you are being audited at some stage of your life. You will be audited to check if that work is compliant. PLB plumbing auditors are registered with the PLB and carry identification cards. So the PLB plumbing auditors out there, they are not there to come and hit you with a stick. They come out to audit the work. They come in, if it's not compliant, they'll have a talk to you. And a lot of the auditors do a lot of training on site as well, and spend extra time in looking after the profession. And that is part of promoting the PLB and the Institute of Plumbing in that sense, by training you guys and offering this service to you when being on the audit. So it's important sometimes to go out to that audit. If you are not sure of what's happening, take your guys out there as well, and it will assist with the training of your guys as well. What happens if the work does not pass an audit? If the audit work is found to be non-compliant, the licensed plumber will be advised of the issues requiring attention in the form of a rectification notice. If required to rectify, the work must be rectified within 5 days. The work may then be re-inspected, and failure to rectify the work may result in suspension from the PLB. And that you don't want that. That is not the object of the audit, to go out and just suspend people. We are not out to do that. But if the work is not rectified and you don't bring your side, it can result in suspension. So what are the benefits of being a licensed plumber in the industry? It's providing consumer protection according to the Consumer Protection Act. It levels the playing field for plumbers when quoting, as they all have to quote according to the using compliant products. So now everybody's quoting with the same product line to do the work. Most important, it rids the industry of the guys that not towing the line. The cowboy plumbers out there, also commonly known as the bucky plumbers. We want to get rid of them. There's no place for them in this professional entity. You guys are professionals out there. We don't want these guys mixing up in our industry. So the industry leads by the asks. In 2010, the PLB started up, and how do we get rid of the cowboy plumber was the question. How do we get rid of the bucky plumber? And on the to-do list for the past 8 or 9 years was get licensed. And the guys all licensed up, and we can see the change in the industry. As the audit process got online, we could see the change in the quality of work, the workmanship, and we could see the guys being proud of their work, the proud guys standing out there because they are proud of the profession. And just as I was a proud professional in being an air traffic controller and looking after the safety of people in the air and on the ground, today I'm a proud plumber out there looking after my profession and looking after my professional career. So if there are any questions, guys, pop them up there. Thank you, Sean. That's me for the morning.
All right, perfect. Just before I do end off, there is in fact a question here. It reads, if you do not meet the 25 CPD points at the end of the cycle, what is the process you need to complete in order to retain your license?
Sean, I don't have the answer on that one. Obviously, what I would do is to contact the PLB to state that I have not reached the required 25 points, and then obviously you'll have to talk to them, and they will give you guidelines, so you can directly contact the PLB. Unfortunately, I'm not from the PLB, we can just get the name of the person and we can answer back on that, and maybe on the next tech talk we can just give the answer who they can contact at the PRB to do that. But obviously the best thing would be to contact the PRB, say to them, okay, I haven't reached 25 points and I'm quite sure this is not something where we're going to say, okay, well, that's it, you're done. They'll obviously give you an extension or something to that effect to be able to acquire those set points. But to gain the 25 points, we've got so many ways of doing it. You know, if you just think of the tech talks, if you attend each and every tech talk, you know, it's a quarter point per tech talk. So that gives you 2 weeks, you got 1 point, not so? So if you're listening to, 2 weeks if you're doing the tech talk, I'm not sure if you're getting CPD points for the health and safety one in the morning. Maybe you can help us on that one, Sean.
No, so the only free ones is these tech talks.
Yeah, these tech talks. So okay, you're getting 1 point per month. So if you're listening to the tech talks, you're basically getting close on 12 points already just listening to the tech talks. So completing the COCs, once again, you're getting points for the COCs. So I can't see that, you know, if you are working as a plumber, you issue a lot of COCs out there for the work you are doing, you will just get the CPD points out of the COCs that you are issuing. There shouldn't be an issue of getting your 25 points at all.
Perfect. The next question reads, what is the timeline to register the COC to the PRB after the installation is complete?
Okay, that is 5 days. Within 5 days of completing the work, you must place it online and log the COC.
All right, the next one reads, clients are still asking about geyser size in a house. Where is the proof for them?
The geyser size in the house, the proof for them, I take it most probably has something to do with the sizing of the geyser, and that comes in with 10400 XA of the National Building Regulation on energy efficiency. It requires a certain calculation, I presume. It's got to do with that. If the clients are asking about that, if it's pertaining to just a normal household, which old household where you are just going to replace the geyser, maybe just always a good rule of thumb is to say to them, you know, that a 200-liter geyser is more effective actually than a 150-liter geyser, purely because of the fact if you've got 200 liters of hot water, you take 50 liters out, you're adding 50 liters of cold water to it. The effect on the mixing is less than on 150 liters when you're taking that water out. So it's like a big car is heavier on fuel and a small car is lighter on fuel. It's actually just the other way around with geysers. So if you've got a 200-liter geyser, that's the more cost-effective geyser to run on electricity. But if it comes to sizing the geyser for the energy efficiency in the National Building Regulation, you are going to look at what is being specified by the architect in the design, by the competent person. They design it according to the bedrooms of the house, looking at an average usage of 50 liters per person per day. So the occupants of those bedrooms is calculated 50 liters per person per day, and that gives them the guideline according to sizing the geyser. Hope that helps.
All right, the next question reads, where can I purchase the PIRB trade books?
The PRB trade books, we don't have a PRB trade books. I'm quite sure the question actually pertains to the SAN standards, the South African National Standard. You can purchase it online from the SABS. So if you type in SABS SAN standards and you type in the codes there is an online shop there. You can purchase it over there through and then download it, and it's downloaded on your name, so nobody else can go and download it, and you got it for your name. And then you can also go and download updates as they are being updated from time to time. The other place where you can go and have a look for any literature on plumbing, go onto the IOPSA website, go and have a look at, there's an online shop. There's a lot of literature available on plumbing there. Go and look over there, you'll find it online there too.
All right, The next question reads, if I do a job and I want to charge a client for a COC and he refuses, what does the law say on that?
Well, it's not, once again, if you're doing a job, obviously you are going to, first of all, most probably give a quote to the client. You're not just going to go in there blind, do the job, and then bill the client. You are going to say to them, so, okay, well, this is the quote for the job. I'm going to charge you this, and this is laid out, and this is how the job is done. And the certificate of compliance is required. It's part of my job. So you put it into your quotation. It's part of the job. You can't not say to him, well, you can't issue a certificate. He refuses. It's part of the job.
Right. The next question reads, what will happen if my license, if I suspend it and thereafter rectify the job?
If you are suspended and you rectify the job, obviously you can submit the photos back. You go to the PRB and you submit your photos to them, show them that you've rectified the job, and then obviously they'll go through a procedure. They do have a disciplinary procedure of how you are being reinstated. It might entail, I don't know if what kind of suspension it will be. They will come back and say to you, okay, to put you back online again, you must probably have to do an assessment, depending on the nature of the disciplinary action that is taken. But it will be basically, you contact the PRB, show them the photos you've rectified, and then they'll decide, and they'll put down the regulations of how you are going to be reinstated.
Right, and then I think the last question for this morning, why do licensed plumbers still making simple failures on installation? And when audited, he says he doesn't know that. What are your thoughts on this, Marius?
Well, I think the basics is that, if you look at my presentation, one of the first things I put out there, when you license yourself with the PRB and are licensed, you did sign the document that all those necessary standards are in your possession. So, just being in your possession means nothing if you don't read them. You must go and read your rules and regulations. There's interesting facts in there. And even having been in the industry for quite some time, I still find new things that I didn't know. And, it's a consistent learning curve that you go through. So, obviously, if you've done an audit on somebody and you've rectified, the auditor showed you what the right thing is to do, you should remember it for the next time round. So it's a learning curve as we are going through it, and that's why auditors are encouraging guys to go out to site when they are being audited on installations, because there might be something that they missed, and then they can be corrected by showing them where in the standard or what the standard says about it. So yeah, I think they are getting it wrong because they're not reading the standards. They should just read the standards, and actually the standards are very short. It looks like a lot of work, but it's not a lot of work. Take out time in your day, a half an hour a day sometimes, and just read the standard. Just start with one of the standards, and you'll find that the information is all in there. And if you don't understand, contact the auditor in your region. By now you must know all the auditors, and you should have their numbers, so you can contact them. And I'm quite sure any auditor will just be there to assist you in interpreting that standard if you are not clear how to interpret it.
All right, perfect. Well, guys, we do have, well, Marius, there are quite a few more questions, but I am going to have to send them to you via email later today.
Okay.
Guys, I'm going to go ahead and end off the session now. Just before I do, you'll see something on your screen there, right? Articulated Live Podcast Radio. It is something that we are introducing. If you guys do enjoy this format, then I think you will be interested in this as well. So just be aware of it, guys. More information will come in the coming weeks. But just know that we are going to have a podcast going soon. Other than that, guys, I am going to go ahead and end the session off now. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Marius, for taking the time out to prepare the session. And then, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sean.